What's up, everybody? It's ImmaLetYouFinish with Court and Amy, and we have a legit. Okay, listen, kids.
Legit.
All right. All of you kids want to throw around, he's an icon, she's an icon, because they raised a single. No, we have a true legend. Icon.
King of rock. King of rock, there is none higher.
Hall of Fame inductee.
Yeah.
Just everything.
Everything. Were you a Boy Scout? Were you a Boy Scout too?
No, my brother was though.
Oh, okay, that's good enough.
Okay. Darryl McDaniels, DMC from Rum DMC, the legend, is blessing this messy ass show. So we must be doing something right, kids.
Well, you know, for some reason, Darryl likes me. I don't know why. I'm sure, or he trusts Tracy to like me.
Right. No, you rock and you roll.
Oh, thank you. I'm rolling a lot more than I'm rocking these days.
There's so much to talk about with you. We got new music out there. There's a 40th anniversary concert coming up. There's 40 years of being in the game. You were on stage with the big 50th celebration of hip hop at the Grammys, which I believe, aren't they doing a bigger? I think they're doing a bigger special that's gonna air this summer or something.
This summer, yeah. And then the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame will probably be some hip hop parade stuff going on too.
Oh yeah. They just hit me and said they want to do a bunch of stuff.
Because I don't know anything, Darryl. We're in the same room.
Right.
We're in the same room with each other, eating the same delicious deli from the Sage Delicatessen and those cookies. Because the only reason I stay in the committee is for the cookies.
It's for the cookies.
For the cookies.
Yeah.
For those of you outside of New York, the Italian wedding cookie, which is genius. But you know a lot more dirt because you're famous and you're a man. So tell us what's going on, because I have no idea.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame want to do a celebration of the 50th year anniversary of hip hop. So they want to do concerts. They want to do
you heard it here first, kids.
Yeah, they want to do a whole lot. They want to bring in people and make it really, really special.
I'm just saying, if for some reason there's a lane for a middle-aged white woman, a year away from that half-price Metro card, whose intentions are good,
right,
and doesn't use the word slamming in every sentence,
right.
I'm just saying, if you could work me into the mix,
no, you'll be
there'll be a little something extra in your Christmas stocking this year.
No, they said they want to do a lot.
All right. Well, I want to do a little, so
just a little something.
Just a little something. The show is 10 blocks away from my house, so
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, don't they? Are they going to do it? Didn't they do it last year in Cleveland? It's not by your house anymore.
It's going
to be in Barclays this year.
It's going to be at Barclays this year. It rotates between Barclays, Cleveland, and LA. But
the induction ceremony going to be in Brooklyn this year?
Yes, hip hop parade. Perfect time for the hip hop parade, because not a lot of rap came out of Cleveland. No, well, that's not true, but it's going to be in Brooklyn. So I'll be angling to write an essay.
No, Cleveland got some legends. Cleveland has Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Well, I know, but stop Brooklyn. Side with Brooklyn.
Right.
Jeez Louise. Must I?
I mean, it would have been amazing to do something. If at Madison Square Garden, though.
No, because Madison Square Garden is not 10 blocks from my house.
Okay. No, but here's the thing. And I'm with you. To me, there's one arena in the 5 boroughs, and that is Madison Square Garden. It is the Garden.
MSG.
But it's not the arena part of it. Honestly, I think also, first off, they probably got a deal. And also, for a lot of artists, seriously, they have never played Brooklyn. And that's exciting to be like, and the sound is really good. And it's, have I mentioned
not better than the Garden.
Have I mentioned it's 10 blocks away from my... I'm sure James Dolan wanted more money. I bet you it has to do with James Dolan. Let's blame James Dolan.
Well, it's harder to book a date in the Garden, though. They're always booked.
Yeah, they always book.
Which is why we could sustain having another arena a mile and a half away, essentially.
Here's Amy getting up, walking to the arena. All right. Anyway, my logistical issues aside, how are you? Where do we want to start?
Wherever you want to start.
Let's start with the Grammy. So what was that like? That was a moment. And from every review, That was the moment of the show.
It was the moment. Yeah, they should have gave us more time.
Yeah. Well, it's still hip hop.
But it was so hard to get so many people. And I would have personally seeded performances throughout the whole show so that the artists, you want to see Rakim do a record. They should have did it like that, as it throwing us all together and
giving everybody a line and a half of their song.
Well, seeing Rakim walk out and then it's like he's got like literally not even 16 bars, like 3 bars, and you're like,
right,
that's Rakim. How often does he do award shows? Never.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. Everybody was just happy to be. Oh, look! Oh my God! You know what I'm saying? It was cool. It's the Grammys. You know what I'm saying? I would have just loved to just go in a venue and perform and let who there see, and you know what I'm saying? I'm more of a intimate, real time, because when you got award shows, I was talking to a couple of therapists and psychologists. Award shows isn't good for people's mental health, because there's people that do great works, great creativity, and it's almost like you can't come because you're not good enough.
Right.
Which isn't true of it, but they take it that way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think we should stop doing award shows and just do celebrations of what happened throughout the year.
Right. Okay, but are you a everybody gets a trophy person?
No, not at all.
Good. Okay, good.
No, not at all. I'm just saying that's why we should just do celebrations.
Celebration. Well, it's so hard. I mean, and that's all the argument. Like, how do you compare a Harry Styles record against a Beyonce record against a Bad Bunny record? All they have in common is that they're opening their mouth and music is coming out.
It's exactly. So let's look. Give the awards out privately. Because they give awards that not televised. Mm-hmm. Don't televise none of the awards. Let people come and rock and go home, and then mention later. Oh, by the way, Beyonce got the. I think it'll make it more fun.
Was it interesting? Because you obviously have been there since the Grammys first started acknowledging hip hop, and they always had, there's always been some schism, and they were handing out the first rap awards like in the parking lot of the Wendy's.
Yeah. That's why Will Smith boycotted when he won the first hip hop Grammy, and they said they gave it to Will because it was safe. Parents can understand it. It wasn't PE, it wasn't the message and all that. But I look at awards like this. I don't consider winning the award the victory. I consider being able to be nominated as a victory in the first place, because now I can go home. And what I mean by that, we was up for Grammys and American Music Awards before they even had rap categories.
Oh wow! In the R&B, they put you like in an R&B
they put
category.
us in the R&B, New Edition, Whitney Houston, Luther Vandross,
and Run DMC,
like right? And Run DMC,
and they didn't know what to do with us.
Right.
So I remember we was going to record a song with Michael Jackson. We had 2 meetings with him, and at the first meeting, he said, when we was nominated, there was no rap category. He said, when we was nominated, we should have won. We should have won Best New Group. We should have won Best Rock Collaboration. Like, there was so many stuff that they could give us. They could have gave us, but they didn't give us because they didn't know what to do with these rap guys.
Right. Well, wasn't Don Cornelius almost kind of famously shy?
Yeah, he completely hated on us.
Yeah. He was not a fan.
Not a fan.
Because, he came from the school of, they don't make music, they use everybody else's music, and they're not singing and they're not playing instruments.
He always looked like when he had rap groups on, like he had just eaten a really bad fish. Like
it was almost like he was so mad that he had to talk to us and let us on the show.
He was a very interesting cat. I was with Destiny's Child at the time, and we came to the Soul Train.
You didn't know there was a guy in Destiny's Child.
Well, here's the fun part. He wasn't happy that only 2 came and not 3. And I had our passes in my hand. So he walks up to me and he says, "Where's Matthew? He's not here yet." It was like, "Where's Beyonce? She's unable to come." And I realized my hand is tugging. And he literally pulled them out. He pulled them out. I was kind of like, "Sir." Sir. It was very weird on the red carpet. And I was like, wow. And in my head, I just smiled because, old school, when you work for Matthew, I always had extra passes. So I was like, let him check it. And I just pulled the other ones out my back pocket and we went in. Right. You know what I mean? But it was kind of like, I've heard that you were an interesting character. Yeah, now I'm absolutely seeing that.
I had a run in with him once too. I was at some listening session. I think for the 4 record. I think that has Rock Your Body, whatever the whatever song. And he's playing it, and I went, "Oh, that's Betty Wright, right? The sample." And he looks at me like, "How?" And I'm like, "It's my job to know that shit." Okay? Right. I'm sorry that I know who Betty Wright is. I'll go hide in a corner somewhere. I heard a rumor once. That the Beastie Boys had said, and the Beasties, you guys are always connected with them, and they were friends, that the Beasties had said they would not be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame before you.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, rumor. That's why it's a rumor. That they were like, if you're going to induct us, we're not going to go before Run DMC, because they credited their career to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of gave them their start. We was working at Chungking House of Metal in New York City.
Wow.
It was Slayer, Anthrax, it was punk and metal bands. And Run DMC started working there. And that led to LL, Heavy D, Beasties. I mean, but the Beasties were already there with Rick. They were a punk band. And Slayer and Anthrax and the Beasties found out that Run DMC is working in their studio. So they started sticking their heads in, you know what I'm saying? It was like, this is, they were huge fans of us and stuff like that. And it was very honorable and humbling for us. So, one day Rick Rubin sticks his head in, "Hey guys." So Jay was like, "Come on in." So Rick started, this is how Rick became a producer. He just started sitting in on sessions with us. And he would say stuff like, "Don't sample it, play it over. Put that part in the front." Like, he just was, we said, "Okay, yeah, we'll do that." So by the 7th session, he brings these 3 white guys in. And at this point in their careers, they were like the Three Stooges. When you watch the boing, boing, they over in the corner doing Beastie Street Three Stooges stuff. And Rick goes, "Jay, think these 3 white Jewish punk rock guys can make a hip hop album?" And Jay looks at them. And I'm doing this is the beginning Beasties, not the more Buddhist reserve ones. This is the beginning Beasties.
The messy Beasties.
Yeah, Jay looks over and he says, "Why not?" So that led to License to Ill. That's how it worked.
Did you guys did you get points on that record? I'm just
no. What had happened was we had a song called "Slow and Low" that we wasn't putting on the Raising Hell album. So they was like, "You're not gonna use that? Could we use it?" And we was like, "Y'all really want to use it?" And we said, "Yeah." So one of the greatest lyrics in hip hop history is on the Beasties version of "Slow and Low." On my version, I said, "I got determination, bass in highs. I see really well because I have 4 eyes, because I wore the glasses." On their version, and this blew everybody's mind. When we sitting there listening to when they did it over, "I got determination, bass in highs. White Castle fries only come in one size."
Ba-boom.
That's White Castle fries only come in one.
Right as you said that, I was sitting there thinking,
yeah,
White Castle fries only do come in one size. I never even thought.
That's what from their first record.
And that's a New York lyric if ever there was one.
Absolutely.
That made them receive the approval from everybody.
Right.
I remember I used to work at a punk rock club in the Lower East Side, and we'll get back to you, but in the 80s, like an underground punk A7.
A7.
And they were like these little annoying bratty kids who would come in, and they were like the young and useless at that point. And then they became, but that's when they did Egg Ray on a Mojo, that kind of era. And I just always remember like going, no, I can't serve you. You can't even reach the bar. I mean, it's an illegal club, but there's illegal and years later, decades later, I'm interviewing him. I did interview him a couple of times, and Mike D suddenly looks at me and goes, "Wait a minute.
I know who you are.
Wait a minute. You were the bartender at 87." I'm like, wow, I look that good, like 40 years. Thank you.
Wow.
It was just
remembered.
I mean, I think that well, you have some love for like punk and rock too. I mean, that's why everybody always thinks rappers only listen to hip hop, and it's nonsense.
Rock and punk was a big foundation of it. And then we were speaking about vinyl before you came on. In Kool Herc's crate, in Grandmaster Flash crate, in Grand Wizard Theodore's crate, in Red Alert's crate, it was rock records. So that's why Run DMC did Walk This Way Over. That's why we did King of Rock. That's why we did Rock Box. We didn't know Walk This Way was Walk This Way Aerosmith. We just knew the album with the toys on it, play number 4.
Right.
So you had
I'm sorry.
because you didn't know the titles of the records, because the DJs would scratch out the titles off the label, so the rival DJs wouldn't see what beat you was playing.
Wow.
That makes sense.
So you would have to scratch it. The DJs knew exactly where to put the needle.
Yeah, because if you're a DJ, you know your whole collection. You know, like, what's what and where to go. Yeah.
Exactly. You know you by heart. So if you playing a new beat that the other DJs ain't heard, they sending spies over to look down at the turntable to see what label, what record, what the album cover is. So the DJs would scratch that off. So Queen, Aerosmith, Rush,
Billy Squier,
yeah, rock, like Billy Squier's Big Beat is on the level of how influential James Brown beats were to hip hop. So that being said, when we came into hip hop, I was a kid when I was growing up. I wasn't into soul. I wasn't into black music. And this was just because I was a kid. My mother and father were still cool. I mean, they cool eternally. But when I was a kid, I'm into comic books, Bugs Bunny, Brady Bunch. I'm a kid. I'm into comic books. I'm not thinking music. My brother was 3 years older. So him and the older kids were into the music. But my mom's and them was listening to James Brown, Aretha Franklin, Marvin Gaye, Al Green. So I heard it in my house all the time. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a kid. I only cared about comic books.
So how did you discover that you could rhyme? Where did that come from?
So all I cared about was comic books. So all I used to do was read, collect, and draw. Read, collect, and draw. Read, collect, and draw.
Do you still have them?
Music was playing. No, I sold them all to get 2 turntables and a microphone. So, gotcha. And I didn't want to do it. My brother made me do it. But when I was reading comic books, I brought my first comic book in kindergarten. Now, you know I can't read. It's just the cover of the Batman was like, what is that? You know, it was visual. I was like, it just resonated with me. So I'm collecting these I'm starting to buy comic books with my nickel allowance from kindergarten. So I can't read. So by 2nd grade, I realized I need to pay attention in school so I could understand what the hell Tony Starks is talking about. What the hell Silver Surfer is doing. Galactus, Thanos, and all of that. So I became a good student because I wanted to learn to read these comic books. Now, in school, I would learn about the sun, the moon, comics, and the stars and stuff like that. I would learn about World War II in school. But Captain America and the Fantastic Four and the Silver Surfer would take me there. So your imagination has a lot to do with reading. You know what I'm saying? So what had happened was, in the 70s, growing up in Queens and in New York, there was a station, 77 WABC.
Yep.
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 Dan Ingram.
Yep.
And Harry Harrison.
Was that Cousin Brucey as well? Or is he MC? Cousin Brucey?
Yeah, all of those guys. So the reason why that's significant is ABC. ABC. There was a black station in New York, WWRL.
Way up the dial somewhere.
Yeah, Super 16 or something like
16, way up the
dial. 77 WABC, they would play Sly and Family Stone. They would play all of that stuff. They would play James Brown, but they also would play Harry Chapin, Joni Mitchell, Led Zeppelin.
WWRL. Wait.
Whoa. No, not WWRL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, WWRL was strictly black.
Yeah.
Soul music. But 77 WABC, they would play some black music.
Everything.
And they would play everything. So the thing that made me gravitate to rock music was that I didn't discover Superfly and Curtis Mayfield till later. But the rock guys like Fogerty and Dylan and stuff like that, the rock guys would say stuff like governments and unfortunate some presidents. So as being a little kid, I was like, oh, I know about that in social studies.
Right.
Oh, wow.
I just started paying attention to the rock guys because a lot of the soul music, Marvin Gaye was the sexy love making man until he made What's Going On. But I'm a kid, I only care about that. So rock music, the majority of the rock music that I heard as a kid, I mean, you had Curtis Mayfield, you had Gil Scott-Heron, but I wasn't hearing it. So the majority of the rock music would just mention things I was learning about in school.
So funny.
So that being said, I realized that, I want to be a rock star.
And you did.
Because, right.
I mean, you guys were rock stars.
Of that connection. So to answer your question, the thing that happened with rap was in 1979, Rappers Delight comes out. Right. Mm-hmm. So I didn't care nothing about Rappers Delight. But the thing that made me pay attention to it was a Big Bang Hench rhyme about Superman, superheroes. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, whoa, this person is talking about superheroes. Mm-hmm. So I learned Rappers Delight from start to finish because I was a good student. I listened to it 3 times, learned it, had it down pat. And then a couple of weeks later, my brother brings home this record called Super Rappin'. Now, this is all superhero stuff. Mm-hmm. Rappers Delight Superman rhyme. Oh, wow. They're talking about something I can relate to. Then my brother brings home Super Rappin' by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
I remember that too.
And when I heard, they did, on the 50th year anniversary of hip hop, they did the signature thing that changed my life. When it was a party night, everybody was breaking, highs was screaming, and the bass was shaking, and it won't be long till everybody knowing that Flash is all. When I heard that, I was like, oh. Yeah. And then they went in, they said, the thing that blew my mind was, it was very, it was like social studies because Rappers Delight was cool, but it was more of the older disco type radio jock voice. Hip hop, I'm the disco DJ rapping man. Clap your hands. But this record said, Melly Mel said, Italian, Caucasian, Japanese, Spanish, Indian, Negro, Vietnamese, MC, disc jockeys, y'all. Fly kids for the young ladies. Introducing the crew, you got to see to believe. We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 MCs. I'm Melly Mel and I rock it so well. I'm Mr. Ness because I rock the best. Raheem and all the ladies dream. I'm Cowboy, I make you jump for joy. Creole, solid gold. Kid Creole, playing a role. And then he said this, dig this. We're the Furious Five plus Grandmaster Flash, giving you a blast of show enough class. So to prove to you all that we're second to none, we're going to make 5 MCs sound like one. I was like, give me a pen. Give me a pen. So for me, hip hop wasn't about being in show business. It was like, oh, shoot, you can tell stories like the comic books about who you are. So it allowed this little Catholic school kid, Darryl McDaniels, who had something to say. It gave me a way to say it.
It helped you find your voice. You were like, oh, this could be more than I can tell stories. I can actually have something
right.
to
and
say.
I don't have to have vocals as good as Freddie Mercury.
Right. Right.
I love the fact that you were making like direct, though, you know, Jackson 5, ABC, 1, 2, 3, there's math and English in one song.
Yeah. I mean, the greatest rap in history, when I go to elementary schools and talk to kids, I say the greatest rap in history, we've been doing it for centuries, for decades, for generations. They go, what? The ABCs. It's a rhythm.
It's a rhythm.
You remember it, and it's a rhyme. A, B, C, D, E, F.
G. That's true. It's funny.
Right. And it's Elemento P.
I'll be honest, like when I'm thinking about what letter goes in front of what letter, sometimes I'm singing that song.
Me too.
To this day, in my head, I'm like E, F, G. G.
It's G. And when we all had to learn how to wash our hands during the pandemic, we were told to sing that song twice.
Exactly.
Because none of us knew how to wash our hands.
So it was this music, the music that is the soundtracks to our lives, the music that describes our feelings and emotions especially for people that can't talk about it themselves. The music speaks for them, but as even more deeply than representing us and speaking for us, you know, music is a vibration. It's alive. And as we were talking earlier, that's why a lot of this music nowadays sucks. There's no life into
I'm going to have to defend new artists. I see once again.
Well, it's different.
I'm kidding.
I think today the problem is speed, right? It's it's speed and is there real true artist development? And it's like, what's hot? Right. Grab one of that. And everybody's trying to make a song in 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
It's the delivery system. We always talk about that. You don't have time to sit. I mean, I wrote about music for a long time. And I think one of the moments I kind of realized I think I'm being aged out was when it was one of these, the record is dropping at midnight. So that meant I would have to stay up to midnight, which is not, it's impossible. Let's just say it's impossible. It's impossible. Oh, you're look at you party.
She's
animal.
Asleep by 10.
Yeah. Well, not even asleep, dead. Full on. But back then I could stay up to maybe 11 if I pushed it. But the point is that the record's going to drop and you're going to have to get something in. And I'm like, it's now become a contest as to who can drop the surprise record. And I understand it, but then it was like, and you have to, look, we could argue about the internet and iTunes and stuff, but iTunes did some great stuff, but it also destroyed the idea of an album.
Right.
Because you could pick and choose the songs you wanted.
That's right.
I hate that.
You didn't have to listen. You didn't have to listen to, albums of any genre were created in, it's one of the reasons we always talk about why we love the last 3 Nas records, because those are albums. They go song and there's a chronology. And
sometimes with albums, you don't even care about the single because you discover a song on there that's better than the single to you.
Right. And the single is always the last song the artist writes on the way to the studio, inevitably. No, it really is. It's like, how'd you come up with this? The record company told us we don't hear a single.
It's funny that you're talking about albums, because remember, with hip-hop, everything was singles.
That's true.
And it'll be completely singles. And then we did It's Like That in Sucker MCs, and it was buzzing in the streets. Then we did Hard Times, Jam Master Jay. We did Jam Master Jay. We did the song Jam Master Jay to explain to people, okay, if the group's Run DMC, Run D, why there's 3 people on the stage? So there's the whole idea of, no, we don't have a band. Jason plays records while we put, it was so crazy. So we did the Jam Master Jay to let people know it's Jam Master Jay and Run DMC, or Run DMC and, Run DMC's 3 people. That don't make sense, but we kind of like it. So then after the first 2 singles, after all the singles that was out, we take it upon ourselves we're going to do a rap album. And it's funny because the whole industry, critics and everything said, okay, we like you rap guys singles. And they was like, there's no way this world wants to hear a whole album of this rap stuff. We put out the self-titled Run DMC and it went gold.
I remember, I swear to all that is whatever. I remember the first time I heard It's Like That, I was walking down DeKalb Avenue to the wherever, the end of DeKalb Avenue, obviously. And I heard it passing by in a car, and I went, this reminds me of punk rock. And I'm not saying that to be like now saying, I was just like, and your album may be the last album I ever bought. And that was in 1983. I went to Beat Street. I went down to Beat Street and I bought it. Remember Goldfinger, who used to work at Beat Street? He was a DJ. There was a DJ there named Goldfinger, and I would go in and I'd ask him to play me records, and I would just sit there and listen to records all day.
And you would discover stuff too.
Yeah.
Because you go there for one thing, but leave out with three other things that you was like.
Listen, we would go to the Wiz on Jamaica Avenue because that's where I bought it at, the Wiz on Jamaica Avenue. You know what I find interesting about you guys is like we see right now there's a lot of intersection between artists and art, but right now it seems like a whole Instagram-y weird moment sometimes, and everybody's thinking that's the thing to do. When I look back and see you guys were really, this is when New York, the artist community was a small community, and it was everybody. It was you guys, and I've seen lots of pictures with you guys like Andy Warhol.
Yeah, and Warhol and Basquiat.
What was that like for you guys to suddenly now enter in this world, and there's Basquiat. These are just people who were around. Everybody was working at the same time.
It let us know that if we found out that music, the arts in general, we found out that it wasn't separate. You know, if you came to New York in the 80s and you went to Danceteria and you went to the World and you went to all these clubs, it was the punk rockers, the journalists, the poets, the designers, the writers, anybody that was creative. Right. was the nucleus of New York City. The designers, you know, you walk into a club, oh shoot, Madonna just walked by, the beat, Africa Bambaataa, Fat Freddy, Blondie just walked by. Like it was crazy. Joey Ramone, the Ramones was always it was Lou Reed. Lou Reed made us open up for him.
Whoa, stop.
You open for Lou Reed?
We need that story right now. Lou, please. I need that right now.
1984.
Wow.
Rockbox didn't even drop yet, and Lou Reed made us open for him downtown somewhere. I'll never forget that. So we was the opening act.
Wow.
And we did It's Like That, Sucker MCs, Hard Times, Jam Master Jay, and we did Rockbox as a new preview record. Wow. So the funny thing about the Lou Reed show, 80% of the people was familiar with this hip hop Run DMC. 20%, the whole show, they held their middle fingers up at us. The whole 20% of the audience, especially the ones in the front, held their middle fingers up at us and was cursing at us. I mean, me and Run in the show, me and Run could hear him. Fuck you, D. Fuck you too, Run. We know you hear us, right? So that was the whole show. So we had two choices. Keep going and do what we do and then leave, or run off stage in the feet. So we chose to stay, right? Mm-hmm. So when we finished, we go into the dressing room dejected. You know what I'm saying? We did the best that we could do, and the people that knew what Run DMC did, they was happy. So then the stage guy comes running, yo, you gotta come back to the side of the stage, you gotta hit us. We was like, what? Lou Reed is cursing out the people in the audience that was
he's cursing out. Well, Lou Reed was a famously cranky man.
Yeah,
you know?
But he stuck up for us. So when we get to the side of the stage, he just basically said in that Lou Reed, now, look, dudes, if you're cursing them and mad at them, then you're going to be mad at me. And he just said this, because I was just like them in my garage beating on pots and pans, trying to figure out where I'm coming from. He said, I was doing everything. I was playing everything. So if you cursing them, and it was like the father talking to the little kid. And it was like, okay, Daddy, we sorry, you know what I'm saying? But Lou Reed actually stuck up for us.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll never forget that day.
He is the man that put out Metal Machine music, you know, to torture.
Yeah.
Courtney, you ever heard Metal Machine music?
No.
It's
crazy.
No, it's literally like what? Like at 2 hours of just feedback and noise. It is Metal Machine music. And he put it out like sort of at the height of his solo career. And it was just like it could drive, like it could end the war in Ukraine right now.
Metal Machine, I gotta check that out. But it was a beautiful thing because he understood we were just utilizing what was around us.
Who was were there ever anybody that, in that phase that you were really super starstruck by?
In that phase, let me see,
or in general, is there anybody you've ever met that you're super, I don't know, I'm just, because to me, if I were a rapper, if I were a musician, I'd be starstruck by you guys. Because
well, it's crazy. Everybody that we've met, there was Michael, Prince, they would give us so much praise, and we was like, but
you were like us?
Yeah, no, so like, you know what I'm saying? It was like, what? No, Cher, when we met Cher at the MTV Music Awards, they like, and the funny joke is, we didn't know if it was just because we love you little cute rap guys that's not going to be around in 5 years. we didn't know if it was sincerity or, well, let's
like nice little rappers. That's cute.
This is so cute what you're doing. You're not going to be here that long. But it seemed like everybody had the utmost respect for us. For me personally, when I got to meet John Fogerty at Public Enemy's Rock and Roll induction. So I'm in the back room. It's Tom Morello, Chuck D, Tom Petty, John Fogerty. Who else was there? Chris Cornell. This is funny. All of them are in the back room. So I'm there. Chuck made me come with him for his induction because he said, "You're the reason why we're getting inducted." So, all right, Chuck, I'll come. So I'm sitting there. But here's the beautiful, funny thing. All of these great musicians, Tom Morello, Chris Cornell, Fogerty, they all in the back room talking about how great a guitar player Prince is. They ain't talking about him being a celebrity. They talking about him. Everybody in that room was saying how incredibly gifted musician Prince. So that blew my mind. And I remember John Fogerty was over there. And I love Creedence. I mean, it's on repeat in my truck right now. So I walk over to him and I'm like, "Yo, I just want to tell you." And it was funny the way he looked at me because I didn't mean to say it like this, but I was like, "Yo, I ride around in my pickup truck." Because, I'm supposed to be a rapper with gold and Benzes and stuff but I really drive a pickup truck, an F-150. So when I said, "Yo, I ride around my pickup truck and your music is on repeat every day." So he looks at me and it's kind of like he's thinking, is this guy trying to impress me by saying pickup truck? But, I said that, he gave me the cigarette, and then he just smiled and he said, "Yo, I really love what you guys do." And then he ended with, "And I love them hats." And I was like, I just got approval from John Fogerty, and it was just amazing how, from Mick Mars, when I met Tim Armstrong from Mick Mars from Motley and Tim Armstrong.
I'm sitting there like in my head going, Mick Mars.
Yeah, Mick Mars from
the old one.
All of these guys, they Joan Jett.
I
got a song I'm working on with Joan Jett that we're putting out a song together. Yeah,
you and Joan Jett right now as we speak.
Yeah, it'll be out soon. So everybody was going, "You guys, man, you guys, what you guys did," and I'm like, "What?"
Well, I mean, when you think
who you guys are?
Yeah, but when you think about it, first off, musicians love music. I mean, there are very few musicians who don't love music. Period. And in general, and also musicians can sniff out bullshit.
Oh, okay.
And you guys, you might not have been a rap fan, people, but they knew it was not bullshit. And that's an important thing. And if they're coming of a certain age, if they're in their 70s, at that point they wouldn't be in their 70s. They're coming out of the 60s and 70s, and that was the protest music.
Right.
That was the protest music era,
Yeah, Tim Armstrong said punk rock had middle fingers up to the government and establishment and protests and everything. And he said when they heard hip hop, it made them put two fingers up and say, "We're damn right." He said hip hop validated their intentions. But I guess that's true because one of the things that we knew that what we was doing with music, like even when Walk This Way and the Raising Hell album was out, we would still get those questions at the press conference. Excuse me, G, J, and Run, where will you be in 3 years? And this is even with Walk This Way out. And I remember at one of the press conferences, I had my 40-ounce of Old English. And I got mad. I got angry. I was like, motherfucker, in 10 years, I'll be back here doing a fucking interview with your ass. So fast forward 10 years later, I'm at a press conference and a man stands up and he says, DMC, 15 years ago, I asked you in front of a crowded room, wait, and you cursed me out. And I was like, I did? He said, I just want to let you know I'm that reporter. So he was right.
Wow.
Yeah, it was beautiful. We were, Run DMC was still here. This was like, I would say like probably in the 90s. Because remember, by the 90s, hip hop had just Cypress Hill and Rakim and Biggie and Pac and all of that and stuff like that.
It was the sound of young America. I mean, you didn't even have to explain it,
What was it like for you when you first went overseas? What was that experience to first realize, oh, this is international. Okay, this is bigger than what we thought.
Well, going to the UK, going over to London and being known. There was a magazine out of there was a magazine in the UK, famous one,
NME.
Still there, yep.
They've been around forever. I was going to say that. So getting over there, and what was cool about NME was you would go there for the interview, and you would meet the journalist, and you would go into London to find a place to sit and do the interview and stuff like that. So as we went through London, the audience, the people that knew of us acknowledged us, which was crazy. We did Top of the Pops and all of that stuff. Right. And when you're going into international, it blew our minds to play Radio City and Apollo, James Brown, Dizzy Gillespie, Count Basie, to see all of that history, Isaac Hayes and stuff like that. But to go over there and then see them there and then you're there with them too, it was kind of like, it was evolutionary for us as artists, but it was very inspiring. So we go over to UK and, getting interviewed and doing the TV shows, you got 3 shows and radio and all that. But when it came time for the concerts, the energy over there, because with hip hop, it was a little weird. As we started getting accepted as a business, that passion kind of, not from us, but from the people, not the audience, the people around you start changing. You got more suits and executives around.
Right.
And it doesn't feel as cool. I want to hurry up and get on stage so I can get the hell out of here.
Right.
But going over there, what was unique about going into the foreign countries and international countries, everybody from the journalist to the light man to the soundman to the drivers, they felt like they were you. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Feel, you know what I'm saying? Don't feel like, because a lot of times when executives comes around, it takes something out the room.
Well, because it becomes something different. This is like now you realize you're a commodity. So when they all start showing up, here's where all the business people come and they all want to be there because this is the hot act and we're here.
Exactly.
And the zhas happen.
Right. And as a journalist, I can guarantee you that they weren't getting paid anything, so they could relate. We went into it for the free food and the music.
It felt like it was funny going international. To answer the question, it was funny going to international because we thought we were different, but then you get over and you discover they're part of us. You know what I'm saying? So UK was like because it was London, it felt like New York. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But when we went to Japan, oh my God, the crazy thing about Japan, they would recite your lyrics word for word and not even understand
what they're saying.
The pronunciation, it was crazy. But here's the beauty of it. When we first got off the plane in Japan and we walk out of customs into where they're here to pick you up, there's fans there.
Right.
And they got on the Gazelles, they got on the Gold, they got on the Shelter Adidas.
Bless those Japanese kids.
They got on the Godfather hat. They got everything that we have in New York, right? But the ones that didn't understand English, this is the beauty of it. They would just go, Run DMC. And we would look, and without saying one word, they would just go.
I love that.
And we would go.
Yeah,
right.
That's communication.
That is. That is an understanding of music. To me, has always been a feeling. That's why I've worked in the music industry.
Yep.
To me, it's like how it comes from the inside out, and I think that is why you see artists go all over the world, and you can perform in an arena that has 12 to 15,000 people in it, half of them not speaking English, but they feel what you're saying.
Yeah.
They understand what you're communicating.
I mean, the success of Bad Bunny, even though a lot of people in this country speak Spanish, I mean, that has driven that home, that you can listen to something and not have to know every little word. I have to ask you this so we can be inside baseball here, Darryl.
Yep.
So, since you are on the Opus Dei Illuminati nominating committee, like myself, of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and so who are you nominating? Who are you voting for?
When, this year?
Yeah, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. But you first.
I don't know yet. I gotta. It's so hard for me. It's so hard for me. I mean, you got George Michael, you got Missy, you got.
It's a very.
This is the first year.
I'm struggling this year.
To me, this is the most stacked list in years. There's a case, a really strong. Some years I'm like, okay, I don't see it. This year I look at everybody, I'm like, there's actually a strong case for everybody on this list.
I have to tell you, every year, last couple of years, I've decided that I'm going to give my vote in the sense that I will vote for them. So I gave Courtney a vote. I gave Ben Merlis a vote. This year, nobody gets a vote. I need all the votes for myself. Because I'm hoping they give us 6 because I am torn. There's one group I'm torn between 2 groups, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I just want Tribe to get in.
It's so hard.
I want Tribe to get in, like so badly. But what is it? This is going to be a weird question because I don't want you to it be something where you're going to have to be like, look at me, I'm like egomaniac type of question. But do you feel like the younger generation of people in general, don't give respect to anyone who's been alive for more than 5 minutes? Do you feel like this current generation of rappers acknowledges your impact on the industry?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, they do. The problem is, here's the problem. The problem with the younger generation is that they only know hip hop from the recorded rap genre.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? They don't know. But see, it didn't start with Rappers Delight. Right. They don't know that. This younger generation only knows hip hop from the music industry standpoint of it. And I said, look, they don't even know vinyl. We was walking through the airport and a little kid asked my DJ, what's that? And I was like, these are records. Like some of them might know CDs, but they don't know the art form.
Right. They know the product. They know the product.
Right, exactly.
So
but
they don't know like the playground battles and battle rap and the underground parties.
But for Run DMC, whether it's their older brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, mothers and fathers, or grandmothers and grandfathers, they know Tricky. They know Walk This Way. They know because of their parents.
Right.
Because they're the generation when hip hop started to change. Like some of the kids don't know Outkast. Some of the kids don't know Tupac. Out is old school.
But they don't know. I work with high school and college students, and they literally don't. I mean, bless their hearts, they don't know anything that happened. And I'm not even kidding. 5 years ago. Right. I mean, they don't know television reference because they don't absorb things the way they don't watch television. They don't listen to They listen to Spotify or Instagram.
Right, exactly.
And the idea of being an MC now, you're not even an MC now. And I don't want to sound like you're
a rapper.
You're a rapper or you're a singer. who has beats behind you. It's a very
Yeah,
different
it's so right,
lyrical finesse does not matter as much as
right.
vibe right
Content,
now.
storytelling, composition that don't exist. Look,
It
these
doesn't
kids
exist.
don't even know penmanship.
Oh well, don't even.
Forget the
That's
music.
crazy
They
to
don't
me.
know
Yeah,
penmanship.
that's
don't even know.
really
They can't
nuts to
write.
me.
They don't
Yeah, that
even-
one
yeah.
always knocks
Buttons.
me on my head. I'm like, you don't know how to
No,
write?
they don't know.
You don't
No,
know how
they
to
don't
write
know
in
how to write.
cursive?
Yeah, they don't know. They don't have it. But for us, it's like
Or read a clock, tell time.
The kids will go, oh, that's the tricky guys. Yeah. My grandfather said,
Oh, God,
my uncle said, I know, you know what I'm saying? But they don't know. Like I know Grandmaster Cass. I know
Right.
Melly. I know Kool Moe Dee. I know Grand Wizard Theodore. I know Kool Herc. They don't, you know what I'm saying? And when we was coming up in the 80s, when you look at the first rappers are the greatest rappers. The first MCs and DJs. I'm talking about Mel and Bambaataa and all of them. Because they had no MCs and DJs to look up. They had no hip hoppers to look up to. But
they were kind of laying the pavement on the road, really.
Yeah. So when they did go into show business, that's why show business changed everything. So it's up to the artists and the community not to allow those changes to dominate. When they got into show business, they didn't have, since they were the first hip hoppers, they didn't have hip hoppers to look up to. So when they got into show business, when you look at Flash and the Zulu Nation and Soul Sonic Force, their inspirations were the Rolling Stones, Parliament Funkadelic, and Rick James. That's why they dress like that. Stevie Wonder. Oh, okay, we're in show business now, so we need to do that. When me and Run came along, Russell, Run's brother, who was our manager, was like, you'll need stage wardrobe. You know, like Earth, Wind, and Fire and the Jackson 5. And you'll need stage wardrobes like, Melano. So we was like, yeah, we know we do, but we ain't wearing it. So that's why we just started coming with what, the Nirvana record, Come As You Are.
Right.
We just started wearing what we was wearing when we was rhyming in the streets. So when we did that, the audience who sees us in showbiz now, they don't see celebrity. They see themselves. By us having on Adidas, that's the Run DMC significance isn't just because of the great music that we created. It was how we represented our culture. We looked like the place exactly like where we came. We didn't come from them and it was time to go on show, put on different suits and change who we were. So even if you was in Beverly Hills, if you're a white kid in Beverly Hills, black kid in Compton, kid down in Florida, or Sum 41 were young white Canadian kids in 1985 who saw King of Rock and said, we got to start a band. This is what Derek and them told me.
Right.
They started Sum 41. I would think because of the Beasties. They said, no, we can't. Derek wearing the Adidas. So whether he was white, black, Puerto Rican, Japanese, or whatever, when you saw Run DMC, when you saw Run D and Jay, man, that guy Jay reminds me of my uncle. That guy Run, he's like my brother who doesn't shut up. That guy, the quiet one with the glasses, is like the kid that was in my class. So you saw representations of where you are and where you were from. Now, if we would have came out with suits and stuff like that, I think it would have had an effect on our music.
Well, it was aspirational then. It becomes something like that.
And it was impactful. You could look like that. Like you guys came out in the tracksuits and shelter, and I went out and I would go to VIM. I got my
it was
Adidas
accessible
tracks.
to you, right?
I got my my tracksuit. Yes. I would come to the city. I got my Kango hat. I was wearing my Kangos, and I was wearing my shell top Adidas.
Right.
You could not tell me I wasn't fresh.
You
know what I mean? I felt like,
because
this is it.
There was no you could dress like Elton John was dressing, but it would take more work. It wasn't accessible.
It would be hard to get on the subway too.
with the thing on.
Yeah, I heard this interview with Noel Gallagher once, and then we want to ask you about this tour. But Noel Gallagher was saying that in the very beginning of Oasis, he was writing songs for the exact himself, in the sense that his audience was himself. They were working class kids. They were screw ups. They had no future and stuff. And then as soon as they became capital O Oasis and became the biggest band in England, then all of a sudden it's like the audience, they still love them, but they like, we know you're rich now. Like, we know, like, you're not Noel Gallagher anymore. Like, you're a really super
rock star.
You're a super rock star.
Right.
Let's talk about this tour that you're doing. It's this summer. It's the 40th anniversary. Am I correct here?
No. What we're doing is, right now what's happening with Run DMC is we're working on a 4-part documentary.
All right. Sorry.
Like in-depth like, you know how the Beatles one that they just, you know, that they just 4-part documentary at Peacock.
Oh,
so it's going to be quality. So at the end of that, we want to do a performance to go with it.
Right.
So we don't have a date yet. We wanted to do it in April or earlier, but the doc ain't finished it because now everybody
wants to be in it.
The doc, everybody that had anything to do with Run DMC wants to say, yes, I was there, this and that. So now we got to push the show back. But it's perfect timing, though, because we didn't know, when we started the doc idea about a year ago, we forgot that it was the 50th year anniversary of hip hop, which is Run DMC's 40th year anniversary. In you know what I'm saying?
Which is
so
perfect.
it's all coming together. But me personally, what I'm doing, for people that want to know, when Run DMC can't be a recording touring entity without Jay.
Right.
And the joke and the question that I asked, the thing I say is this: the only way Run DMC can tour again if the Beatles get back together. Can that happen? No. You know what I'm saying? Because you need George.
You need all four.
John.
Yeah,
exactly.
You need all four. And you need all three for Run DMC.
So,
you need all three. Yeah.
And I understand the Beastie Boys. It's very different for the Beastie because the Beastie Boys lost a vocalist. See, me and Run, what I was going to say was, we can show up at a festival. We can do, you know, for the radio. A couple of years ago, we did LL's ball at the Barclay, the Christmas show for WBLS. It was huge. Me and Run can show up and perform, but it's not Run DMC.
Right.
It's King DMC and Reverend Run, who used to be members of, you know, it's like when Paul McCartney and Ringo show up and jump in and play with Elton.
Yeah, they never call them the Beatles. It's Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr.
Yes.
They're not the Beatles.
That's
the
what
Beatles is
But
four.
that being said, we want to do a Run DMC 40th year celebration during the 50th year anniversary of hip hop, which includes everybody that we inspired and everybody that inspired us.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. It's gonna be one of those things. It's gonna be, I'm trying to think. It's gonna be like the last waltz for the band.
One of my favorite movies.
Yes. So that's what we want to do. But me, check this out. I just dropped a song. Me, Ice-T.
I know. Me and my microphone. I was
me
going
and
to plug it. Daryl, I was going to plug it.
Okay,
Hello. What am I? Hello. Chuck D, Ice-T, and Jazzy Jeff, and you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Produced by Bumpy Knuckles, one of the greatest underground lyricists in the history of the game. But he said, he usually raps on everybody record. He said, I cannot get on this because these are all the gods that inspired me.
Wow.
And DJ Premier and Guru and stuff like that. So that record is one of the singles off an upcoming album that I got called America. I'm doing this album called America, which will show that the arts succeeds where politics and religion fails. And politics and religion, I'm not talking about spirituality, I was talking about organized religion saying, unless you're doing what I'm doing, you're wrong. It'll fail us because now we coming into things we're saying, if I'm saying I'm a Democrat and you're a Republican, we're starting off with a beef. Why you got to come in a room and say I'm this and you're that? Just come in a room as a person who happens, you like jazz, I like funk. You like cookies and cream. We don't go in the rooms and saying, well, the people that like cookies and cream is better than the people that vanilla ice cream. This is what we're doing with these institutions. So I want to do a song called America to show that us as creatives, whether it's writers, poets, journalists, sculptors, painters, musicians, tap dancers, actors, playwrights, and all of that, we have the solution that can solve all the problems that exist in the world. If you go into a museum to view what's in the museum, works of art and artifacts and stuff like that, it's people from all walks of life, from all around the world, and they're together peacefully, loving the same things. So this record, America, me, Ice-T, Chuck D, Jazzy Jeff, and Bumpy is a representation of a section of America. On the America album, I got a song with Joan Jett.
Okay.
On the America album, we debuted the song a couple of weeks ago on Ozzy's Boneyard. I got a song featuring me, Sebastian Bach from Skid Row, Mick Mars from Motley Crue, Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses, and Sebastian and Travis Barker on drums.
Wow.
We did Ram Jam's Black Betty over.
Oh, I love that song. Right?
Yeah. So imagine all of us doing that over.
That is a NYC club. I have been dancing to that record.
The Black Betty?
Since, I can't even remember a time
where
I wasn't dancing to that record.
So imagine how it's going to sound. Me, Sebastian Bach, Duff, Mick, and Travis. Oh, Black Betty, family and gang. Yo, it's crazy. And also on the America album, I got a song with Sammy Hagar.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
you
just
you are the employment service for the old white man.
Well, you know,
and we applaud you because old white men need work too.
Yeah, and what's cool about them is it's like they want to do stuff.
Yeah,
it wasn't like a planned thing. At that stage in their career, at this stage in my career, this America album represents the innocence in culture that we don't allow to be on the forefront. They just, ooh, can I play? You know, you call it, come on over. Okay, I'm coming over. And you just play and you get together and you create. So I'm hoping to drop this album probably August, maybe.
Okay.
But I'm dropping a single in April. The Black Betty single in April.
Okay, so on top of this single that's out right now, the My Microphone. Okay.
Right. That's out now, and then the Black Betty single is going to come, and the whole album, America, it's going to be art. Like I said, I'm in a comic book, so the album, we're doing vinyl first.
Amazing.
It's going to go digital, but we're doing vinyl. So the vinyl is going to be, it's going to be an open, fold out. Because remember, how incredible albums were. Because it was not only the sound and the vinyl, but you also open up the album and you could read and learn.
And you could roll weed in it. Too.
Get the seeds off it. Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I've discovered so many artists from just being in the record store and being like, that's how I discovered Nina Hagen. I literally
I remember Nina Hagen was like fantastic.
Just looking at one of her album covers, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to buy this because this looks like it. This looks. That's how Grace Jones, like from the earlier looking at, and then realizing, I heard this song maybe on WBLS, but the covers were like, this looks interesting. Exactly. So I'm going to try it out.
It was an experience.
Yep.
Album art.
That's what I'm getting ready to drop right now.
All right. Court, what do you think?
I just think, I wonder, being an icon, because if I was an icon, I think I would wake up in the morning and be like, I'm expecting on a silver platter next to my bed a scone and my hot chocolate and a bowl of blueberries every morning.
Something iconic.
When you look at, I would say, hip hop now, is there anybody that you're like, you've got that thing. I'm liking what you have to say. I'm into the whole vibe of what you're presenting and putting out into the world.
No.
All right, we'll see you next week, folks. Bye.
Which is pretty much us on this show. We're always like,
Right. I mean, I speak to a lot of DJs. I speak to a lot of DJs that there's a lot of.
We're not laughing at. We're just
right. No,
because the look on your face, you were just kind of like yeah, no.
Yeah, there's nobody that makes me want to listen to all their works.
Right.
All right, how about another genre? Let's be kind. Anybody else?
It's just, I mean, no, my cutoff period for I mean, the White Stripes are great.
Mm-hmm.
But my cutoff period is Soundgarden, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and the 90s grunge kind of is the end for me.
Mm-hmm.
Not an Oasis fan? You didn't like?
No, but see, Oasis is different for me. I like, there's like 3 songs I like of them.
Oh, okay.
But and they're fabulous, but it's like, I could listen to Soundgarden and Audio Slave over and over and over.
See, I'm already figuring out who you're voting for, Darryl, because
right.
you just mentioned Darryl. You just mentioned 2 of the groups.
Right.
So I'm already nice try of being all secretive.
And, right. And I feel like Chris Cornell's name has come up in this conversation.
Soundgarden.
I'm like, that's 2 out of. Okay, I have to. This is what I have to ask both of you guys. Yes. Have they told you how many people you can vote for this year? How many people are getting it? So you don't know.
No, not yet.
But Darryl will know first because he's a man and he's famous.
Not yet.
I'm just sitting there getting the scraps off the table.
It's it's like
5 or 6. It's either 5 or 6 usually, right?
Yeah, I always go with 5. I always just vote with the 5 that I feel are already in, but the world doesn't know it yet. That's how I look at it, like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, God, if that were the case, then it would be the New York Dolls, MC5, and Shaka Khan, and we could just close the door.
New York Dolls, MC5. Yeah, MC5 should be in.
The New York Dolls.
That's crazy. And you, what you have to do is you have to, and what I mean by, now I know Kendrick's amazing. I know J. Cole is amazing. But nothing, I remember we were just having this conversation when Public Enemy put out their run of albums and songs, and then when Rebel Without a Pause dropped, yes, the reverend, don't believe the hype. Hip-hop now doesn't have the song, and we kind of touched on this. Run DMC would put out an album and we could tour off that album for 4 years.
Right.
Because of the music, not because of the celebrity.
Or video or image. It was the absolute
right. Even if
music.
We didn't make no money off the album, we could tour off it for. There's no songs that do that right now because, like I said, they come out so quick.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, there's not a song that made me think I was in trouble since Daddy Kane's Ain't No Half Stepping.
Mm-hmm.
When that came out, I kicked my sound man out the car because he jokingly said he knew I didn't have a ego. We get off the road. It's 1988, and we get in my Cadillac. I had a $50,000 sound system in my Cadillac. Right, I had the loudest car in Queens. And I picked him up at his house. This is when we still lived in the hood. We driving around in fancy cars. Like they were bikes in the neighborhood, not going nowhere, just all standing there like we used to do. So he gets in my car, and there's no songs that has done this for me since then. And he gets in my car, and he jokingly says, "I know somebody better than Run DMC." And I'm like, "Yeah, get the hell out of here." You joke, and he puts in "Ain't No Half Stepping." I'm the Big Daddy Kane with that sample there. Get the fuck out my car, motherfucker. I kicked him out my car on Linden Boulevard. So he had to walk back to Hollis, and I drove around Queens listening to that. I remember when Public Enemy put out Rebel Without a Pause, we was going over to Europe. We was going over to UK. And it was Leo Cohen, Russell, us and the Beasties. Chuck and Hank Shockley met us at the airport. Said, "You have to listen to this." We listened to that record the whole 4 months of the UK tour over and over and all day. Now, that being said, J. Cole is phenomenal. Kendrick is phenomenal. But when you look at the eras of hip-hop, of how even from a big business sense, when we was doing the Raising Hell tour, it wasn't just Run DMC and everybody from Hollis. It was Run DMC, the Beastie Boys, LL Cool J by himself, and one of the greatest rap groups who makes some of the best songs in the history of hip-hop, Houdini. How could you forget 5 Minutes of Funk? Freaks Come Up Friends. How many of us have them? Now, you come to a Run DMC tour, and everything is beautiful. We don't have that no more. And I don't know if it's because of the business.
It's partially. It's
You know what I'm
partially
saying?
because of the and it's also it's like always we talk about this all the time. People know how the movie ends now. There's an end,
Yes.
there's an end game that did not that people didn't want success, but there's an end game. There are stylists, there are marketing, there's all this stuff, and it's social media. It's more about getting hits in a negative sense, like social media hits,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The magic has been taken out. Like, I feel like when you open the curtain and say, here's how the sauce is made, then everybody feels like they know how this works and what it's supposed to be, and they feel like they know it
all the different sources exist together at one time.
But I will say those last 3 Nas records, really, and that's your generation, that's our generation, they're really, this is somebody who almost, after 30 years has
what's
hit
good
his peak.
about that, he's taking away the false narrative of hip-hop being a young person's music. Mm-hmm. We are now what rock and pop, and you don't look at Stevie Wonder and say, Stevie, you're over 50 now, you can't do that no more. So now we're starting, and this is because we, as a culture, just got to keep putting the music out. Mm-hmm. Now, rap is not, hip-hop is not a young person's music. Here's the greatness of that. It was created by young people.
Right.
Just like everything else.
Right.
True.
Right. See, Don Lemon, you can be in your 50s and in your prime.
I talk
the One Producer album, I always say this. What works with those Nas records also is he's a grown man, and those are one producer albums. So there's a cohesiveness that actually runs through all 3 of those albums.
That's what exists. Yes.
Because it's not chasing the shiny object.
Right.
That's why Gangstar was so great. You wasn't chasing the shiny NPE. There's so many reasons why people. But when you're chasing the hit, you can hear
favorites, it. Your Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
That's what, and all of this exists now, but nobody is focusing on it.
Right.
So, it's like me. I was just pretending to be the king of rock. I'm the king of rock. I had no idea I was going to become that, and now I'm able to work with Joan Jett. I'm able to work with Sammy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if I was Sammy Hagar, I'd be very grateful that I'm working with you.
Sammy's great though. His voice and his. I met Sammy because I did a show, Sammy's Road Trip, and we performed a version of his Montrose, his Rock Candy. And I just started rapping, and he said, "You know what, D?" And I love this spontaneity. He was like, "We're gonna go in the studio and make a record." I was like, "Really?" We went in the studio and made a record.
I love that.
And the beauty about having this record, like you said, we ain't chasing the shiny object. One day when we're together, we can do it. And those people that happen to be there at that moment will be there to experience.
But that's the art, and that's where you go. Like, listen, I always say we're calling too many people artists. There are artists, and then there are singers, and there are rappers. And there's nothing wrong with being a singer. There's nothing wrong with being a rapper. But there are true people who are artists who do it absolutely for the art. They will work with anyone. They will be like, what can we create?
And they'll be able to do it. The scary thing about trying to make hits is you might not make another hit.
Nope.
And then you're over because that was your only destination. Like somebody should have told Michael Jackson, I wanted to tell him, but I didn't think it was my place. Michael, you sold 40 million Thriller albums, like right? Something like 42, probably 44 now. Somebody should have sat Michael down and said, Michael, you sold 40, and just said this, you probably will never do that again, but just go be Michael.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't make excuses for, like, we knew that we're not going to make another Raising Hell. It's made already, but I can go do that forever.
Yep.
Right.
It's not about the album didn't do, you know what I'm saying? So what we have to do now and what Nas is doing is he's creating that lane where now Sting can be Sting who was still the Sting from the Police. When Paul McCartney left the Beatles, he started Paul McCartney and Wings. So for a rapper who started young, there's still a life for us. So for me, what Nas is doing is creating like Run DMC opened the door for everybody. We opened the door for everybody after us and also for everybody before us, because when we first came out, Flash and them didn't like us. Because they was like, who are these kids from suburban? We from Queens. We ain't from Harlem. Right. We from the Queens. We got backyards and dogs, and we go to Catholic school. So they was like, who are these suburban kids with all of this attitude? They didn't like us at first. And I remember Kaz and Mel said this. It wasn't only the way it wasn't only what you were saying and doing. It was the way you were doing it, folding it on. Like we had all of this attitude. But as they started hearing our
very Farmers Boulevard.
As they started hearing our interviews, it was because the tapes, the live performances of the boys and girls from the Bronx, Harlem, and Manhattan were coming into Queens and selling like albums sell today. So your music came into Hollis, your music came into Linden, your music came into Farmers Boulevard, and we did this. So all we wanted from y'all to say was, yo, that was good. And when they started seeing that, we were a young class of people under them. But it's almost like when you sit down with Keith Richards and Mick, or Joe Perry and Steven Tyler, and you do an interview with them about Aerosmith or the Rolling Stones, they're going to talk about the black blues artists that influenced them.
They always do.
It turns into, and that's the beauty of it. That's what they started seeing about us. And like you said earlier, Amy, the kids now don't take it upon themselves. Like, if we're going to sample this record, we're going to read the liner notes and see who this person was.
They have a computer in their pocket and they never use it.
They never use it. Yep. I tell kids I said, you'll have every record ever made in the history of the world. You have all this information and you don't use it. So the beautiful thing about us as artists, I think, Court, there was a reason why when we came from Queens and went into the Danceteria, and it was all of these arts in the same place. There was a reason why that was happening, because we were individuals all actually doing the same thing. Right. Nowadays, when people look at hip hop, everybody wants to be the rapper.
Right.
All of these little kids want to be the rapper. They don't see the other opportunities there.
Well, everybody wants to shine. They want to have it. Yes. They want to be an influencer. I just wanted to point out that I believe that today we've made history because all three of us were born in Queens. Were you born in Queens, Courtney?
No, I was born in Brooklyn.
I'm giving you Queens. All three
but you lived in Queens, though.
You lived in Queens.
I was born in Brooklyn, then I moved to Queens right before the first grade. So I did all
my school. Well, I was born in Brooklyn, too.
Yeah.
I was a month old when I moved to Queens, though.
All right, I was born.
Then I went to Catholic school, like you, Catholic school in Queens, front yard, backyard.
Did you guys go to the same school? Wait a minute.
Well, I went to St. Pius X.
Oh, I know St. Pius. I went to St. Pascal Baylon.
Oh, yeah.
See, Catholic boys do good.
Catholics do. Exactly. But that's what I wanted to say. We have all so much in common. We all have so much in common, and that's the beauty of the arts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The graffiti writer, the breakdancer, the MC, and the DJ. Hip-hop said to us, what do you want to do? I want to do music. I can't do music. That's okay. What do you want to do? Okay, I'll write some poetry. I can't do music. I can't write. What do you want to do? Well, when I hear that music, I want to spin on my head. Okay, get some cardboard, spin on your head. We don't do nothing. We have all this art in us. So we're going to put on masks, create identities for ourselves.
Now it's like, what do you want to do? I want to be a star. Okay, fine. That's it.
Right. When the real stars were those boys and girls and all the people just doing it because they can.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, and I know what you mean by saying artists really don't exist no more. There's a lot of us, but from an entertainment standpoint, because the entertainment business will let people that can't do the thing do it. That's what blows my mind.
We'd have to bring you back for another 5 hours for that one.
I mean, don't even get me started on the commercialization or something. Oh, we have an image. This works. Put him in with this producer.
Yeah.
Or you have companies that are not music companies.
Well,
music companies.
That's the crazy part now. And
now we've got non-music people.
We've got these nameless, faceless sort of like hedge funny capital investment firms buying music catalogs just to find ways to sell it for commercials and things, and just they know nothing about music, care nothing about music. And we've watched all of these things merge, and it's just I think what happens is that the consumer and the fans get the short end of the stick.
Oh, they totally do. I mean, say what you will. Back in the day, you knew that the people at Virgin and Atlantic and Warner Bros., those were music people. They were founded by people, and the early hip hop records, all those guys, Eddie O'Loughlin and Corey and all those guys, they were they grew up with it.
Exactly.
Their dads were music people, you know? And now it's just like some guy who's making an investment because, you know, tech is failing or something like that. Now I'm depressed.
Well, don't be depressed. I think now
there's always hope
happening.
There's always hope.
There's always hope, and I think now
you're the hope.
It's just us. It's just all of us to continue to have dialogue about it. Mm-hmm. It's time for the now at this point now you can see, you know, because you have Bonnaroo, you have Coachella. We're at a point now where we can have a 3-day all hip hop festival that starts with Kool Herc. We're at that point right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's up to us. It's up to me, Chuck, and Eminem to go into Coca-Cola together and say, Coke, we need you to write this, finance this, and do this. Because it's not going to be drugs and shooting and fighting and this hood against that hood. Hip-hop is not at a point where you can bring your family. Because De La Soul, Run DMC's music, Tribe Called Quest music, we never was profane and derived. We would talk about the issues and the things, but we would never allow it to exist in the walls where we were at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, the message was, here's reality. Planet Rock was, but this is what it could be. We always had a message and a vision. Now, nobody's focusing on the message with the vision. They're releasing all of this stuff and placing it there. So the little kid sitting there doesn't think, I could be as creative as Tretch and Naughty by Nature and write a song about sex without using a profane word. It's brilliant what these hip-hoppers was able, but now it's shoot, shoot, kill, murder, murder, right in your face. So a little kid is thinking, I have to do that to be successful.
Right.
And the whole thing with hip-hop is, no, you don't. You can do it this way and stop a mud hole like Flavor. Stop a mud hole in their asses by just being you.
Yeah.
And doing something different, being creative. Like my whole thing was, nobody's making rock records. So you said this, Amy. Rockbox is Run DMC's poor attempt to remake Billy Squier's Big Beat.
Well, I didn't say poor attempt. You said because your video was hell of a lot better than any Billy Squier video. That's for shit sure.
Once we made the Rockbox thing, we said we have to give it. And, you know, it had a lot to do with the directors that was working with us.
Yeah.
Like the director, John Small, for Walk This Way. I traveled the globe, Africa, Asia, Europe. Everybody say this. And here's what's a crazy thing. Since 83 to 2023, everywhere I go, people always say this. When Steven Tyler took the mic stand and knocked down the wall that was separating y'all, that didn't just happen in the video. That really happened in the world. That's the power that we have. And if we could do that, we need to walk this way that's going to help heal what's going on and shit. With all the violence and the disrespect and stuff, these kids thinking they got to be disrespectful, violent, and about it just to be successful in the hip hop. When none of the kids is coming in trying to do something that Tribe didn't think of yet. See, I always tell kids, can you think of something that Tribe and De La didn't do yet?
I will, and I'm not a fan, but I mean, there is some interesting stuff going on with like Little Yachty and Little. There is some kind of there's a weirdness in hip hop right now, which is sort of fun.
Right.
If you're a kid who hasn't seen something weird before, but I hear what you're
all
saying.
The little kids but I'm saying we need to use that weirdness to address the issues.
Yeah, that's
because one of the things that we was never preachy, but we all.
But you were talking about what was going on.
Yes,
that's the thing.
In each unique way. Everybody look. We wasn't in front of your face. A lot of us wasn't X-Clan, Public Enemy, and KRS-One. But if you listen to Tribe, if you listen to Run, if you listen to Rakim, you listen to Daddy King, we address weekly, we address the issues that was affecting us. Yeah. Now it seems like all of the superstars in hip hop stay away from that. You don't see none of these guys now in a generation where, when Mac Miller died, I was hurt.
That was so underrated.
Juice WRLD, in our generation, all the records for the next 3 months would be about ODing and shooting. Nobody, what we're saying is this: the OGs ain't mad at what the young G's are doing. Mm-hmm. Us old heads are mad at what they're not
doing. Right.
And that's the hurtful thing.
Yeah.
They're not making self-destruction. And here's the other thing. We always, if you listen to us talk, and they ain't got to, but we see that they have a lack of responsibility. I heard KRS-One say in an interview, and I never forgot that, my first responsibility is to that audience. Then we could talk about my deal and my first responsibility on this mic is to that audience. So what I'm saying, when Mac and Juice and Little Pump and all these guys are dying, these guys now, the dominant, I don't want to say no names because they get too personal.
Everybody gets upset.
We know who you're talking about.
Yes.
When every instant, when PNB got shot in LA at Roscoe's, the guys who are at the forefront of the visuals, the radio play, this and that, every record for the next year should be about these issues. But this is what I say. Hip hop is punks now. They're soft because they're scared to take a stand for their people. We wasn't.
It was weird.
I'm proud to be black, y'all. Yeah. And that's a fact, yo. We brought Ice-T said Run DMC made positivity gangster. Made these gangsters and the pushers and the pimps know we could do something else. And even if you didn't rap, it seems like everybody's using rap as the escapism now over athletics. But there's so many people. I'm a doctor because of hip hop. I'm a CEO because I'm a director because of hip hop. I'm a designer. I'm a dancer because of this. Everybody now, I'm a rapper because of hip hop. I'm a rapper. There's no diversity. We're not leaking into other aspects of our community to have an evolution. Hip hop used to do this every generation. Now it's just doing this. Right. Everybody's doing it.
Well, now it's about money, but now it's money. It's like everybody. Now it's money, right?
Which is okay. I'll always say
it's okay to make money. Yes, I'm never against people making money.
You got to be responsible. Responsibility is what's like anything that is sacred or holy to a community or a culture or a nation or race of people will become diluted, polluted, and destroyed by commercialism.
Yep.
The only way it won't if we and the people stand up for it.
Right.
And that's what we have to. That's why we got to have dialogue like this. That's why we got to have dialogue. We have to have action. We have to have creativity. And for me to defeat Instagram, I don't have $500 billion. But for me to defeat Instagram is presence, showing up. People say, D, keep doing what you're doing. I've had this agenda since the day one I came into the game. I didn't let the commercialization of it dilute, pollute, and destroy me. Right. So now the cool thing is this. These kids may not know Run DMC King of Rock walk this way. But I'm in with a third grade class. This blew my mind. I go, this speech is my recital. I think the whole third grade class, I think is very, so to them, I'm not Run DMC, my Adidas walk this way. I'm DMC, the It's Tricky TikTok man.
Wow.
So I have a connection with them.
Right.
But here's what's cool. They go home now and go, Mommy, Daddy, some man named DMC came. Oh, what? So the parents call the principal.
Right.
Why did you tell me? I would have come to school.
No, the parents call the principal and say, the next time DMC comes, you invite. See, we're bringing people together.
Yeah. I love that.
There's no, and that's because I put out a children's book a year ago.
Right.
Called Darryl's Dream, which is me in the third grade. I just want to say my poem. And the bullies say
for that for my grandson.
Right. So for me, it's all about connecting the generations.
There's another thing I want to talk to you about. You guys had amazing album art. How important was that to you guys? When I look back on the catalog, I'm like, their covers were all really pretty iconic stuff here. So it was like,
well, how big collect a deal vinyl. Was that? Yeah, it's the most important thing to that was a significant part of being a recording artist.
Right,
was the album artwork. Mm-hmm. It was part of it was a 3D experience: sight, sound, touch, and feel. Mm-hmm. So we knew that we got to do what Stevie would do. We knew we had to do what Sgt. Pepper's would do. We knew we had to do what the Ohio Players or Earth, Wind & Fire would do. So that was our inspiration. That was part of it. It wasn't about just getting Soul Train and American Bandstand was cool. We grew up watching that. Mm-hmm. But when that wasn't on TV, what did you have? You had the album.
Now, I do have to ask you this. What was that like, meeting Dick Clark and going on American Bandstand?
All right. Dick Clark was, number one, he knew the records that we were performing. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like Don Cornelius. He comes into work, I don't want to do this. All right, I'll do it. Right. Dick Clark knew. There's a famous picture of with Dick Clark with the Run DMC hat on with the arms folded. So the beauty about Dick Clark was he had a respect because he was educated on what this hip hop was doing.
Right.
When he first heard about hip hop on records, he literally went back and said, like when we met him, it was like, it's very interesting. He didn't know why that Kool Herc would do what he would do. So we said, oh, shoot. He just named y'all Kool Herc. So he had a respect, you know what I'm saying?
Much respect.
And I think even if it was just for him, so he could look good, at least he knew.
Right.
So we met Dick Clark. He was he wasn't like Don. He was appreciative to have, maybe deep down inside somewhere, he was like, this is the same way rock and roll started. So he Dick Clark treated us like rock stars.
I love that.
In the audience, and it was funny because, most of Run DMC's music was being passed around the United States by somebody from New York. So this kid from the New York, Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn, Harlem, Staten Island would go away to the Army.
And he would bring his records, with him, right?
And the kids would hear it because this is when metal was separate and the hair bands was separate. So one guy in the barracks or at the inside the college would have a tape from New York, and now all the kids is listening to that. So a lot of those kids, there was a lot of people in Beverly Hills that got exposed to Run DMC in the 80s, and also in Los Angeles in the 80s. Remember, there was an all-rap station called K-Day, and it was a jock called Greg Mack.
Yeah, I remember
him? So he was getting all the music from New York directly. That's why Ice Cube and Dre and them, they had their own style. But, Ice Cube says it in our documentary. We didn't like Adidas, but we had to get them because of Run DMC.
Right.
So people like Cube and Dre and Scarface and them down in Houston and all the people in New Orleans, they was getting this music from New York. And they were paying attention to it, listening to it, and studying it. So when we got on American Bandstand, I would say the majority of this was 85 now, the majority of the audience knew about Run DMC's first record, Rockbox.
Right. And
they knew it's like that, and they knew Sucker MCs. But now
you'd been on MTV at that point, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. So we were in living rooms. Now, by Dick Clark bringing us on American Bandstand, it because most people say, shouldn't they just be on Soul Train because we were black?
Right.
But Big Dick Clark saw us as this is some new music.
But I will say that, speaking for all white people, as I like to do, you can be not across the board, but I mean, even the most racist of person, it's like music and sports is where they'll go, all right, I don't want them living next door to me, but I'll listen to the music.
I'll go to the game.
I'll go to the game, but just don't marry my daughter.
Exactly.
So there is an acceptance of entertainment at the end of the day, as long as you're not saying something that is going to offend their poor little sensibility.
Yeah. You're 100% right. Yep. Somebody just
don't say
that.
gay,
Yep,
but it's
exactly.
like, Court, what do you got?
Well, all I want to say is,
oh my God, Darryl, thank you.
Thank you.
That's what I want to say.
I'm just.
I'm if I didn't have to go to work and eat and go to the bathroom and other things, I would stay here and talk to you all day.
I don't even think you understand. Like Amy and I talk about this all the time. I'm not the big hip hop guy on the show. I'm the one who's dance music. My first club was the Garage. I was always that.
Wow.
But there were certain hip hop acts and people who I love. Run DMC are heroes to me. That is like Queens.
Thank you.
You inform me. I was never one of those people. I tried to dress like y'all, and I thought I was Madonna. I probably had a better result dressing like y'all than when I was walking around with the black rubber braces up there on both arms, thinking I was Madonna.
And he has aged much better looking at you.
But I want to thank you so much for coming on here and blessing us, because you truly listen. I think calling people legends and stuff, people do that way too easy. But you truly are, and you've inspired so many people, and you continue to inspire so many people.
Well, thank you.
And I love hearing you talk about this new art coming, and I'm very excited. I am really excited to hear this new Black Betty.
I feel like say the name of it, they want to hear it.
I know, you have to let us.
You say that, and it's like, oh, I need that in my life. Absolutely, yes I do.
Tell Tracy to give you a first.
I'll talk to Tracy. And plus, I am also very glad that you allowed me to basically attack you at the Hall of Fame meeting and demand that you do this.
Well, I was watching. I forgot what show I was watching. It was a show on Netflix. What show was it recently? Not The Last of Us. It was some show. I watched all of these monster vampire shows and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I was watching one show, and they said legend, people don't understand, is just story. So when you call someone a legend, people that say somebody's legendary, the legend is the whole story.
It's the
people
whole thing.
People don't know that they're part of the story.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's really funny you say that, because I watch tons of like crime shows and stuff, and I've been watching this series, which is an old series, and they're about spies, the MI5, and when they're changing their identities, they go, "What's my legend?"
Yeah, see?
And that's their new identity.
Yeah, that's true. And I remember I was watching this other show called Discovery of Witches, which is amazing. It's the vampires and the werewolves and the witches and the wolves.
See, I thought you were going to say you were watching Netflix and you're watching a vampire show and it reminded you of me, and then I was going to get very upset.
Oh, no. And, they're all at war.
This witch.
Right. No, but the witch, the thing, it was beautiful because they're all at war. And the legend has it that the vampire is going to meet the witch and they're going to come together, and then the war is going to stop and everybody's going to see that we're not really different and all. But one of the powerful moments and I talk to kids about this, the young witch who was going to be one of the saviors, the savior of everything, the head witch knew that this was her, but she didn't believe it. So they put her in a room with the other witches, and her task was to make the candle light without using a match. So the young girl was trying to do it, and she got frustrated. I can't do it, this and that. And then the head witch, the young girl said, "I'm not magical. I don't have the powers." And the head witch, which was an older white lady, it was the coolest thing ever. She said, "Honey," she said, the power isn't in the spells and the potions and the stuff. She said, all of the stuff that we think, when they start doing it. She said, "Honey, the magic is the desire to see it happen."
Oh, and that's a beautiful way of taking.
There we go.
There we go.
Young,
that's why you made the big bucks writing rhymes and
right.
We're just sitting here being cute.
Right.
All right. Darryl,
thank you so much, Court.
Courtney, here's
the
spiel, baby. Thank you.
Well, guys,
I'll come back on when the album come out, because I know
yes, you will. Oh, yes, you will.
Please,
yes, you will. Yes, you will.
And
we were holding you to it.
So, guys, you know what it is. Me and my microphone is out right now on all of the streaming platforms, and you can click it on YouTube. It's all there. Darryl's music is there. Look out for Black Betty in April. Look out for an album this summer, and look out for the Run DMC Peacock documentary, which is going to be about 4 episodes, Darryl saying, at some point this year. Look out. I mean, listen, I feel like we're probably going to see you at the Grammys 50th, if the hip-hop show that they're putting on. Because there's no way they can do that without you guys. And I want to say, thank you for representing Queens. Thank you. Like, I'm serious. Like, you guys representing Queens and made us all really, 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 really proud. Like, you know what I mean? I remember that whole time. It was just like Run DMC was it. It was, you guys were just
That's what Michael Jackson said.
It's you guys, you were it. It was just like, oh, and then when a new album would be coming, we'd all be so excited and it would just be crazy.
Thank you.
So guys, you know what it is. Leave a message, leave a review. Follow us on Instagram at ImmaLetYouFinish NY. Follow us on Facebook at ImmaLetYouFinish. On TikTok, ImmaLetYouFinish Podcast. Tell a friend, leave a rating, call your mother, send us some McDonald's, no brown liquor, and only good weed. We'll see you next week.
Not for me, not for me.
Thank you.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package, with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's FantasyPoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. FantasyPoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.